The third and final section of Chapter 4 in the Communication Systems book of Design and Problem Solving deals with the principles of design. In the previous lecture, we talked about the elements of design, and then we also have 4 principles of design. And the principles of design provide the guidelines on how to fit the elements together. So they're related. Again, we have the 4 elements, and the principles tell us how to use the elements to make good design. And the 4 principles of design include proportion, balance, rhythm, and emphasis. So starting with the first one, proportion. Proportion is how the size of one part relates to the size of another, or of the whole item. And this is often expressed as a height to width ratio. So whether things are in proportion or not is very important. And so when we talk about proportion, we want to make sure that things are related well to each other, and that one part we don't have is kind of small and the other part is really super big, because they don't look like they fit together very well. And so we want to make sure that things are proportional to each other. That doesn't mean they have to be the same size by any means, but when you think about, let's say you think about a garage, or a house, either way, when you look at the roof, if you have a really steep pitch on a roof, that roof is going to be really tall. So let's say if it's a ranch style home, just a single story ranch style home, a really tall pitched roof is going to really look funny on that particular house. It's not going to be in proportion. When you look at it, all you're going to see is this huge roof and not really be able to see the house at all, which isn't really the purpose of the design of the house. So you want to consider proportion. The next you want to consider is it balanced, and how the elements are arranged horizontally or vertically. And the balance can be achieved through the different elements, color, line, shape, and or texture. And when talking about balance, we can have different types of balance. From side to side, we can have a formal or informal balance, or the same with the top and bottom. So with a formal balance, both sides are equal. So as you see in this first example right here, both sides are equal. We would call that proportional, in that if we were to take not proportional, we would call that symmetric. So if we were to take a line, draw it right down the middle of that design, we could fold it in half and they would be identical. They'd be exactly the same. So that would be formal balance, which is symmetrical. But we can also have an informal balance. Things can still be balanced together. They don't have to be exactly the same. So they're a little bit different, but yet they're still balanced well together. So here you can see in the second picture where the two are different, but yet they're very similar and well balanced. We can also have a top to bottom or vertical balance. Again, a symmetrical balance would have it right down the middle. But oftentimes we can use a line just above the optical center to also create a nice balanced look as well. So just offsetting that middle just a little bit one way or another can give us a level of balance. The third principle of design is rhythm. And rhythm is a feeling of movement through a variety of different shapes. And so we can have the repetition of lines, colors, and shapes or textures to give us a rhythm. So some kind of repeating component of a design. We can have gradation, which is a slight change in a design, or we can have radiation, which is from a central point. So here in the first example, you can see repeating gray and white lines repeating after each other. In the second example, we have gradation here, where we have it's gray and white still lines, but yet there's just a little bit of a change, but yet there still is some rhythm to it. And in the third example here, we have where the squares are rotated from a central point, or we have the radiation, if you will, that it's rotated about it. And all of those create a different set of rhythm in our design. And the last principle of design to consider is the emphasis. And the emphasis deals with in which the desired object is the center of interest. So if you look at this picture here, what's the first thing that you see? And in many cases, most people would say the trunks of the tree because those are black, that they're bold, they're black, they really stick out. Which is okay, and it's okay except for if the purpose of the picture was really to highlight the house. And in that case, that's not where your eyes are drawn to first. So we want to consider what is the emphasis, and we can do some different things. We can use some different elements and principles combined together to help us focus in on what that center of interest should be. But we definitely don't also want to consider it. We don't want to take away with other things, like in this case, the black trunks of the tree, which really take away from the rest of the picture. In any case, altogether, the goal of design is to achieve unity. And if I may add to that a little bit, we also goal being a professional unity, in that we want things to look highly professional, that they are well done, and that they have good unity within. And the components of the elements, the components of the principles, when you combine those together, you will get unity. And the purpose being that when all parts of a design look as if they belong together, we've achieved unity. And that's the goal when we try to put together a design. So this ends our 3 recordings for Chapter 4, Design and Problem Solving, dealing with problem solving, design, brainstorming, the elements of design, and the principles of design.